Last week, I made a video talking about the three stocks that I'm currently selling: Polymetal International, Chudian, and DoYu. I thought the least controversial one would be Polymetal International. This is a Russian company, and right now Russia has invaded Ukraine. The stock is down 80%. I thought that this would be the least controversial one. With all the sanctions on Russia, there are so many risks, so many uncertainties with this stock. I thought nobody wants to buy this stock anymore. But actually, in reality, from the comments I have been getting, this is the most controversial one, because many of you think that Polymetal International today is a good investment, a good long-term investment. This is a Russian gold and silver miner. And if you consider at what price gold is today, and the fact that gold prices are expected to keep rising with inflation, with the war, then maybe Polymetal International is undervalued based on just that. So today we are going to look at this company again. We are not going to talk about Chudian, about DoYu, about Russia in general, but mostly about Polymetal International. Will I invest in Polymetal International again, and whether you should invest in this company? Before we go into details and talk about this company, about Polymetal International, please make sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ishfaaq. I am an elite popular investor on eToro. Please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the coming videos. As I told you, Polymetal International is a Russian gold and silver miner. They are the second largest gold miner in Russia after Polyus, and the largest silver miner in Russia, and the third in the world. If you look before this war, you look at Polymetal International, it was getting overvalued. But when I first invested in the company, it was undervalued back then. In 2019, I first invested in Polymetal International. So I invested in Polymetal International because I was expecting, because of inflation, eventually gold prices would go up. And when I was buying, as I told you, it was undervalued. One of the main reasons why I chose Polymetal International over other gold miners was because of its low AISC. It's low all-in sustaining cost. So how much money do they spend on producing 1 ounce of gold? For Polymetal International, that number was around $950 an ounce. You will see for Polyus, it's actually lower. But why did I choose Polymetal International over Polyus? It's because Polyus had more influence from the government. Polyus is owned by a Russian oligarch very close to Vladimir Putin, and the son of that oligarch was actually running Polyus. He's very young, and I was not certain that at such a young age he could properly manage this company. I'm not telling that he cannot do it. Maybe really he's a genius, he can do it, but I'm not very happy, comfortable investing in a company when the father retires, the son takes over. Besides, as I told you, they had influence from the Russian government, and this was not something I was comfortable investing in. On the other hand, we had Polymetal International, also owned by rich people but with less influence from the Russian government. Actually, this company, Polymetal International, was one of the least corrupted companies in Russia. They got the FTSE for good rating, and that was an additional reason for me to invest in Polymetal International, not expecting Russian government influence. However, when I was investing in Polymetal International last year, Mati Allen, my mentor, who is a consultant for eToro, he's a hedge fund manager in Israel, he asked me about why I'm investing in this company, and he told me about a certain risk that I'm investing in a Russian gold and silver miner, even if I was expecting gold and silver prices to go up. And this was something that he was not happy about, that I was expecting this to go up. That's macroeconomics. He told me, you're a value investor. This is not what you should be expecting. You should just invest. You should not be hedging your portfolio. You should invest because stocks are undervalued. But still, I was investing. And he told me that the main risk was that eventually the Russian government may raise taxes or nationalize the company. This happened in many different countries where there is no really the rule of law. And this is a possibility that still exists today with this war. So let's look at Polymetal International today. Half of the operations, actually not half, 80% of operations are in Russia, but half of profits come from Kazakhstan. So they are more profitable in Kazakhstan than Russia. Just yesterday when I'm recording this video, I read an article on Financial Times about the fact that the company is thinking of having a spin-off for the Russian and Kazakh business. I don't know if it will happen. If it will happen, this is interesting. But let's say today where the company is, there is no spin-off or anything. Even though 50% of profits come from Kazakhstan, those profits are flowing into Russia because their main customer is the Russian central bank. They are selling most of their goods to the Russian central bank. And if this war continues, the Russian ruble continues to devalue itself, eventually the Russian government would want to buy more and more gold, like they have been doing for the past few years. And maybe at some point they may even choose to nationalize the whole company. Maybe they may not so easily nationalize the port in Kazakhstan, but they may nationalize the mines in Russia. This is something that we need to consider. This is a real risk right now. A year ago when Marty told me about this, I said maybe this is a risk, but I don't see it happening. But with now this war, this is a real possibility. They are already nationalizing all those restaurants. They are considering nationalizing those restaurants, all those companies that left Russia. So for example, McDonald's, they had all these restaurants. Now McDonald's left Russia. It is not expected, even though most Russians expect McDonald's to come back after a year, because most Russians, with the government propaganda, they think that everything is good in Russia and that McDonald's is losing so much money, they would want to come back to Russia. But this is not the case. The Russian government is even trying to put a law that will prohibit companies that left Russia to come back before 10 years. I will talk about the uncertainty about Russia being a country in 10 years. But let's say Russia is still a country after 10 years. There is no certainty that McDonald's or these companies are coming back. What the government is trying to do, what they are most probably going to do, is to nationalize everything. This is something they are seriously considering. There are many people. In Russia, only one person takes the decision, Vladimir Putin, but there are many people, influential people in the Russian parliament, in the Duma, who are thinking about this, nationalize everything. That all these companies left, all these buildings, they were operating. Let's say you go to a shopping mall in Russia, everything is closed. So it's useless to remain like this. It's better Russian government takes over and nationalize everything. By nationalizing, it doesn't have to be direct nationalizing. They can just give it to someone close to the ruling regime there, to an oligarch, and he's going to take care of everything. Now let's say Polymetal International is not nationalized. Will they be able to sell gold at the price at which they want? This is an uncertainty because the Russian central bank, they're setting the price of gold. It's not that there is an open market that they're going to sell gold at a certain price. The Russian central bank is setting the price of gold. So they are not going to maximize their profits if instead they were selling the gold internationally. So the Russian central bank is setting the price of gold, and that price of gold is in ruble. The ruble is losing its value. Even though in recent days, weeks, you will see it has gained some of its value. Once again, the market is not free, the market is not open. Why the Russian ruble is strengthening, we can say, is because first of all, short selling is no longer allowed in Russia. So Russian people, all those people who are holding Russian ruble, they cannot really bet against their ruble anymore. They cannot bet against Russian companies. Even foreigners cannot sell their assets that they own in Russia anymore. If you own stocks in Russia, directly in Russia, you cannot sell, you cannot take profit. This is strengthening the Russian ruble. The Russian government has raised interest rates at 20%. Increasing interest rates may lead to a recession. A recession is surely coming in Russia with the sanctions, but raising interest rates further will further lead to a recession and even a depression. There is now new laws in Russia prohibiting people from taking credit. So they cannot really buy something on credit anymore. They have to buy it in cash. So there are so many laws that they are attempting to strengthen the ruble. Why they are attempting to strengthen the ruble? Because in reality, the ruble is still losing its value. And the one that gave the illusion that the ruble is strengthening was the fact that Putin said that now that Russia will only sell oil in rubles. Countries that were buying oil from Russia, they have to pay in rubles now. So this forced many of these countries to actually buy rubles and strengthening the rubles. But as I told you, this is not a free market. They are manipulating the market. On the black market, the price of the dollar is more expensive than on that market that is quoted everywhere. So if you're in Russia, you want to buy dollars, you're not going to pay 90 rubles for $1 like it is in the official market when I'm recording this video. From what I'm reading, it's 135 rubles for $1. So you see the official market and the black market totally different. And it is very hard right now in Russia to actually buy dollars. It is expected that over the long term, the Russian ruble will continue to lose its value. At some point, it was 150 rubles for $1. Right now, it's 90. Maybe it's not going to be immediate, but after a year, you don't know how much it will be. 200, 300, 100, nobody knows about this. There are uncertainties. Now, why do I expect that this devaluation will continue? It's because the Russian economy is on the brink of collapse. Even if they win this war, as I told you, Ukraine has 40 million inhabitants. These inhabitants are very angry right now. It's going to be very costly for Russia to rule Ukraine. It's not Crimea. Crimea was very costly for them. But they were able to rule Crimea because most of these people were happy to join the Russian Federation. It's not the same. Even if Donbass, Lugansk and Donetsk Oblast join the Russian Federation, it's going to be very costly for them. There is reconstruction to do in these two regions. It's not like in Crimea, everything was already here. You just changed the currency, you just built a bridge, and that's all, it's finished. You have to reconstruct Donbass. And if they are able to win all of Ukraine, which by the way now I think they gave up, but even if they do this, they have to reconstruct everything. It's costly. And reconstructing everything with an angry population, it's one thing to conquer a country, it's another to actually rule it. And ruling Ukraine, 40 million angry people, it's going to be very costly for Russia. And now if let's say tomorrow, the Russian government decides to end the war, I hope they do it. It's better for everyone to just decide that everything ends. Things are not going to back to normal. Does it mean that the sanctions are going away? The sanctions will be here for years. Over 6,000 sanctions have been implemented on Russia. They are never going away. Maybe after 90 years, they are going away. These are going to take years. Some people have predicted that to all the sanctions to go away, we need to wait at least 50 years. It's going to take time. Russia has committed war crime in Ukraine. They have threatened to use nuclear weapons. There is no going back to normal from this. So if you're expecting that the Russian ruble will stabilize, no, it's not happening. This small stabilization, that's just short term. Over the long term, I still expect that the Russian ruble will lose its value. With the Russian ruble losing its value, the profits of Polymetal International may go up because of high gold prices, but it may not be optimized. So you are investing in the company, let's say the ruble loses 10% of its value every year, you are investing in the Russian company, you have to expect that your return should be more than 10% every year for you to be profitable on that investment. Even though you are buying it on the London Stock Exchange, it will be reflected on the price there because all their transactions are done in rubles. Another interesting thing to consider, another risk, is political risk. Apart from nationalization, Russia is on the brink of economic collapse, and most of the time economic collapse leads to political collapse. There are over 15,000 soldiers, Russian soldiers, who already died in Ukraine. The official numbers are only 1,500, so 10 times that in reality died. At some point, the parents of those soldiers who died would be asking questions. 15,000 people are already in prison. You put a piece of paper, white paper, they are going to arrest you there because they are attempting to protest. Not really protest in Russia. But at some point, too many people are going to protest. And when there is inflation, hyperinflation, which probably is going to come in Russia, even the police, they are human beings first. They are going to be more lenient. They will understand why people are protesting. Right now, they are getting a good salary from the government. They are not so worried to arrest people. They are doing their job. But at some point, this will stop because they will understand what's happening. This is what happened in 1917 during the Russian Revolution. This is what happened in 1991 during the collapse of the Soviet Union. So you should not just look at this situation for the short term. The war has been ongoing for a month. This is not the end. Even if I told you the war stops tomorrow, this is not the end of all this situation. It's going to linger for years. This is a new perestroika I see happening for Russia. Why I'm telling you this? Because many of the soldiers that are going to this war are not ethnic Russian. This is one, I think, the most misunderstood things about Russia, that Russia is a big country, that everybody speaks Russian, everybody is Russian. That's not true. Russia is ethnically very diverse. But unlike the US where everybody lives together, this is not the case in Russia. There are ethnic republics in Russia. There are republics in the Far East where people have their language, where people speak something which is very different from Russia. Even though at school everybody learns Russian, Russian is still the official language. There are some of those republics that at some point had bad relations with Russia. And here we can think of Chechnya. Right now the Chechens are happy fighting in Ukraine. That leader of Chechnya is actually a very good friend of Vladimir Putin. And if you ask me my opinion, he's a more dangerous man than Vladimir Putin. So they are very friendly right now. Chechen soldiers are going to die eventually. I don't think that this relation between those two reaches, because Chechnya today is like an autonomous republic. They are ruling themselves. Russia doesn't want to fight them. It's as if it's a separate country in reality, even though they are part of the Russian Federation. And don't expect that this relationship will be stable for years. And it's not just Chechnya, there are other people who are fighting for the Russian Federation today. And now about these republics in the Far East in Siberia, do you think that they will be happy that they are suffering from the economic sanctions in a war that is happening thousands of kilometers away from them? I don't think so. So if you think that the stability of the Russian Federation will be here for decades, I don't think so. There are going to be more and more protests, more and more separatist movements from these republics. It is going to happen. We are not going into details today about how Russia is structured, but there is a reason why we have oblasts. The oblasts are where Russians are the majority, and there's a reason why we have republics. Republics where Russians, they can be the majority, but there is a big proportion of another ethnic group. And Russia, as we know, they are already losing so much of their army in this war in Ukraine. This is expected to continue. And do you think it will be easy for them to maintain any opposition within Russia? Right now, it's easy to do. There is no opposition. But for how long? So that's what I'm telling you. Economic risk, economic collapse always lead to political collapse. It happened in 1917. It happened in 1991. Now how this affects Polymetal International, most of these mines of Polymetal International are found on those Far East regions. They are not really Russians working in these companies, but these are the ethnic groups working in those mines, even though the owners of the company are ethnic Russians. So all of these are risks we need to consider. But now let's say the best case scenario, nothing will happen, the war ends tomorrow, even some of the sanctions are lifted. Even then, I'm not going to invest in Polymetal International because I am down 80% on those investments. So for me to break even, I don't have to wait for 80% gains now. It has to be a 5-bagger. If let's say I had invested $1,000 in Polymetal International, now this is $200. It's not 80% gain for me to go back to 1,000. It has to be a 5-bagger. So for how long will I wait for this 5-bagger to come? Some people, I have read an article on Seeking Alpha, are saying that Polymetal International is a sort of call option, a long-term call option without any expiry date. It is possible that if things get better, best case scenario, Polymetal International stock price goes up. But for how long will I wait for it to break even? That's why I prefer to sell my shares of Polymetal International and focus and take that money, $200, invest it somewhere else, even if that other company can be a 5-bagger, and even let's say Polymetal International is a 5-bagger, but the risk in that other company is less. One of such company might be Alibaba. There is Genwa Financial. Many other companies I see potential 5-baggers. But Polymetal International, maybe it can be a 5-bagger, but only in the best case scenario if everything works. If nothing works, then the uncertainty, the risk on the stock far outweighs the potential reward. There is a risk-reward asymmetry on Polymetal International, but the risk is bigger than the reward here. This is what I see. I'm not telling you not to invest. You want to invest in it in a way that you look at it as a call option. You can do it, but don't put too much of your portfolio in it. This is my advice to you. So let me know in the comments what do you think about Polymetal International. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe and share. Please watch these 2 videos here if you missed them. Have a nice day and goodbye.